Welcome to another week, another show of Hawkeye with me, Dave OHara. Big show lined up for you again this week. Tough result last week. Hawks lose to Michigan 27-14. A new dawn arises. Iowa goes to Illinois this week. Could be a tough game. Brett Bielema, former Hawkeye player, and now coaching at the Fighting Illini. Should be something interesting. A lot of news happening in the Big Ten. So after we talk with Craig and Stacy from Fight with Flash Foundation, Craig and Stacy Schroeder, Jordan Canzeri, former Hawkeye running back great, will join me. Speaking of Illinois, what a game he had his senior year in 2015. 43 carries, 256 yards rushing, 11 in a row, 11 carries in a row in the fourth quarter. We'll get to all that later. And David Eickholt will close out the show with me to talk about what's going to be upcoming against Illinois, and a lot of changes in the Big Ten West. And I mean coaching changes. So we'll get to all that as the show progresses today. So Craig and Stacy with Fight with Flash, Craig and Stacy Schroeder, thanks for joining us. How's everything going with you two?
Going great.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome and thank you. What a couple of weeks. Last week we had Gary Dolphin for the whole show, so we need an update on golf tournament from Craig.
Yeah.
And then Stacy, you're going to give us your prediction for the Iowa-Illinois game. So Craig, saw it online, saw it on social media. Weather didn't want to cooperate, but you guys still powered through with the power flash.
Absolutely. It was an amazing day. We had two patients, AYA patients that were there that spoke. Dr. Dickens spoke, and then Sarah Moss, who lost her husband Skylar recently.
Baseball player at Iowa.
Baseball player at Iowa also spoke. We had several other, it was probably 7 other patient stories up on poster boards for people to be able to see, and we had brochures of those in the carts for everybody to get to know those patients, their stories, and their families. So even though that the weather wasn't necessarily cooperating at first, it wasn't that wet and it wasn't that cold. It could have always been worse.
Sure.
And so everybody had a great attitude. Everybody dug deep into their pocketbooks like we asked them to. With that said, we are very, very happy to announce that we netted $80,000 this year for the golf outing.
Wow, that is unreal.
So, yeah.
Stacy, we forgot our drum roll. But Craig, love the sweatshirt. Stacy, of course, has the earrings. So go to Fight with Flash Foundation via Facebook.com or fightwithflash.org. Still a lot of items available that folks can purchase online. Always taking those wonderful financial gifts for their gifts in return. Mm-hmm. But that is great news, Craig. Over $80,000. So thanks to you guys, but thanks to you folks, viewers, and those that participated. What a wonderful, wonderful story. And boy, Stacy, I hate to do it to you, but now we got that high from Craig. So you got to nail this I'm kidding you. You got to nail the prediction. Here we go. Iowa at Illinois. This could be something else. So what are you thinking?
So tough. Oh my gosh. I will always have the love for the Hawks. They're always going to win in my heart. And so I'm going 21-20.
21-20. So is there a...
And it's Hawks.
Okay.
21-20.
I like it.
Go
I'm
Hawks.
not listen to her. I'm not going to question that. Craig and I are nodding gleefully saying, "Hey, I'll take 21-20."
I keep getting those looks every time I make it.
I'll take 2-0. I promise you, Stacy. So 21-20 I can live with. There it is from Stacy Schroeder, Craig Schroeder, Fight with Flash Foundation. Again, via Facebook, Fight with Flash Foundation, or fightwithflash.org. Craig, Stacy, great seeing you as always. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
you,
Dave.
My pleasure. For Craig and Stacy Schroeder, I'm Dave OHara. We'll be back with more Hawkeye in just a few moments. Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave OHara. There's our buddy Jordan Canzeri. It's been a little while since Jordan has joined us. Jordan, first and foremost, former Hawkeye running back great, record holder, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But Jordan, thanks for joining us. And how you doing, my friend?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to hop on with you.
Oh, always, and thank you. Always a pleasure to have you. As folks, as you may remember, in season 1 of Hawkeye, we had Jordan on, and he was back in his home area of New Jersey, and he's got a little extra news for us today. And man, timing is everything in life, right, Jordan? I mean, we're going to talk about the Illinois game, the Iowa Hawkeyes, but I want you to get folks up to speed a little bit since you and I talked almost 2 years, a little over 2 years ago now. You still looking great. You said you get a chance to work out with the kids you're coaching and teaching. Put a little context to that, what you're up to these days, because as of a couple days ago, you got a new gig, so congratulations.
No, appreciate it. And no hard feelings, but New York.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. I don't want to cause a problem. That's right. Jersey and New York.
It's okay. I think I was one of the lone New Yorkers. We get a lot of Jersey guys out in Iowa. So, proud of that at least. But yeah, no, a lot's been going on for me. Last year was a whole whirlwind for me. Went from tearing my Achilles to literally being unemployed during that time because of it, and then worked real hard, became a licensed real estate agent, got this new job, and still personal training. So it's been good. It's been a whirlwind, but definitely came out on the top.
Talk about your transition from high school into college and playing and starting at Iowa as a freshman, meaningful carries. And I think the one thing you told me, my biggest takeaway was you said you were determined to learn that playbook before the games even started.
Yep. So just from a background on my history with football, I played Pop Warner, absolutely hated my experience. So quit for about a year. One of my buddies talked me into a different Pop Warner league. I did it, tried it, gave football another shot, loved it ever since, but I was always undersized. So I was always, having to prove people wrong. And when it went from modified to JV, was told to stop running like that. I wouldn't be able to run like that on JV. I did. On JV, I didn't get brought up onto varsity because they told me to stop running the way I was because it wouldn't work when I was on varsity. It did. And so I was just used to having to prove myself. And when it came to Iowa, around our area, we don't get heavily recruited. It's something we'll get into a little later, but one thing that I wanted to stay home to work on was helping kind of put a footprint in my area where getting these athletes that are definitely capable to be noticed. Talking to some college recruiters, they told me our area was one of the few that was hard to kind of get a grasp of like who was relevant because there's not much recruiting services. So it's a lot of on the actual ground traveling and like figuring those things out for themselves. So I wanted to be able to help out in that. But as I said, we didn't get recruited much. And once the bigger schools started to come, especially when Iowa hit, I had, personal friends, family, coaches close to me that were even telling me then, don't go. But if you do go, you probably won't play until your senior, your third or fourth year. So again, went in there with a chip on my shoulder, wanted to prove everybody wrong. And when we got the playbook in the mail, I made sure I studied it front to back. And then I also had, as you mentioned, James. He was a good role model, good leader. He'd like to joke with me with my size and stuff here and there. So it was like, he was funny. And like later, once I was older, we joked about that a little bit more too. Great guy. But yeah, he was a good leader, being able to help me integrate into the system. But also at another running back, I got to give him credit, Jason White. He was the epitome of a leader and focusing on next man in, telling me that he didn't want to play over me because he knew the things that I didn't, but he wanted to play because he was just the better athlete. So he taught me everything he could. And I tried to do that same thing with the younger running backs that came in when I was the veteran. So just getting that opportunity to come in, starting over, being able to start in the Insight Bowl over some of the other guys just because I had myself be that well prepared. Sure. That's something that now I get to use for the student athletes that I train now, and I can let them know that I was a kid from Troy, New York, not heavily recruited, 5'9", 172 pounds, soaking wet, and I was able to play and start and play my first year at a big program because I put myself in that position, working hard and studying hard. So that's something that I try to reiterate to them all the time, that there's a lot of things we can't control, but there's plenty that we can. So just the experience that I've been able to have at Iowa, and Kirk Ferentz was definitely a great coach to be able to experience from it, just to see what he's continually doing with the program. So it's definitely a blessing to have that experience.
And James, I was shaking my finger agreeing with you, saying that is great stuff, because that's what it's all about. As you mentioned, when someone tells you you can't, you're going to prove them that you can, and you're just going to bust your tail and do your best. But that's a perfect stopping point for this first segment. When I come back, I want to talk to you a little bit more about Kirk Ferentz and the Iowa system. You went through numerous quarterbacks in your career as a running back at Iowa. So I want to get to all that when we come back. And I'm going to get to that record setting that Jordan Kanziri did, viewers, in just a few minutes in the next segment. appropriately enough, against Illinois upcoming this week. So, Jordan, let's talk about that in a few moments. If you can stay with us for one more during a commercial break, and we'll be back with another segment with you. I greatly appreciate that. So, he's Jordan Canzeri, former Hawkeye running back great. I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. Back with more in just a few moments.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Chevrolet. We've lived through some very interesting times the last few months. Ensuring everyone's safety is more important than ever. That is why we're participating in the Chevy Clean program. At your request, we will pick up your vehicle, service it, and return it after we've cleaned it using the current CDC guidelines. This is just another way to work towards exceeding your expectations. So give us a call and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Who do you trust to produce the best yield? A seat company that's chasing technology, or a seat company that's writing a book on it? Merschman Seeds is a leader in technology. We're independent and family owned. Our sister company, MS Technologies, provides access to world-class traits and genetics. And our starting line seed treatment is second to none. Who can you trust with your yields? Merschman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. There he is, Jordan Canzeri. Stayed over from one of the breaks into the next segment, so we appreciate him doing that. Jordan, a former Hawkeye running back great. All right, viewers, I've teased you enough. 43 carries, 256 yards in that fourth quarter against Illinois in 2015. 11 carries in a row. Jordan, tell the viewers what you said when I said that to you off the air. Tell them your response to me. I loved it.
I said my mind might not remember much, but my body sure did. I slept real good that night.
I bet you did. Ice bath aplenty. Hey, career totals over 2,000 yards rushing, 17 touchdowns, 14 rushing, 3 receiving, almost 500 yards in pass reception. So almost 2,500 total yards as a Hawkeye. All 4 years, I look at some of your numbers and think, gosh, what a red shirt if you had a COVID year. But from 2011 to 2015, my goodness, you packed in a very nice career in 4 years. So I love the fact that you've still sustained relationships and deep friendships with C.J. Beathard and Jake Rudock, even though people thought it was splitting the team apart and it was controversial. I believe you were in both guys' weddings, right?
Not CJ's, but was in Jake's. But yeah, no, CJ and I at the time, we were real cool and tight and became close. And that was the thing where in the beginning, yeah, a lot of people did worry. And, you know, even for myself, because Jake and I were real close and still are to this day. And just to still, as you said, have a good relationship with both. It's awesome just to see, awesome just to have that between people where even though in a moment where it easily can be negative and the emotions with everything going into one quarterback leaving, one going back, not sure where like loyalties would lie. You know, I let CJ know it wasn't anything like that. And he was our guy and I was going to commit and do everything I could. And it, you know, it's personally between us, we do care for one another. You know, you put everything you can into the program, you put everything you can into, you know, fighting for each other as brothers. But at the same time, you know, it's the emblem of the Hawk. You know, we're Hawkeyes, we're there to play football. And, you know, we know that it's the next man in and we have a job to fulfill for everybody, not just our own selves and egos. So even though Jake was a dear friend of mine and it was painful to see him leave, you know, it ended up working out great for him with Harbaugh. His first year, I think they won the Orange Bowl. And then CJ, obviously what he did for us was just unbelievable to lead us to 12-0, you know, and CJ, both of them are just great guys. So yeah, it's a situation where I know a lot of places and other programs have dealt with it. But it's something that, again, you kind of just have to put any type of negative energy aside and just realize that, hey, we're here for each other. We're here for the same goal and purpose, and let's do whatever we can to make things work. So with everything that they got going on right now, you know, I know Spencer Petras has been getting a lot of heat over the weeks. And, you know, I just would like to at least put out there that I hope at least that our fans and people see, even through the frustration, that I do think weekly we are improving at different areas. And you'd much rather have your team do worse, improve each week than do worse each week. So, there's little areas, things that I know that they looked at the film after playing Michigan that they'll fix, and I believe that they'll be ready for Illinois.
Well, once again, you really nailed it, because that's the whole thing. The offensive line is working through some stuff. So, James, Jordan, I can't thank you enough. And I was thinking back to James Vandenberg saying that about the offensive line when he was, and you know this, when he was a senior and you had young Brandon Sheriff there and young Austin Blythe, who are now in the NFL doing great things. He said, Dave, I took a lot of lumps as a senior quarterback with those young linemen. So that does happen. You made a great point on that. Jordan Kanziri, former Hawkeye running back, great. Again, think of that during the Illinois game this week. Still a school record, 43 carries in one game, 11 in a row in the fourth quarter, 256 yards against Illinois in 2015. Great Iowa career in 4 years, over 2,000 yards rushing, 17 total touchdowns, 14 rushing, 3 receiving, and almost 500 yards in catches. Jordan, great to catch up with you. Look forward to catching up with you very soon. I promise you it won't be 2 years again on my part. And thanks so much for joining us, Jordan Kanziri.
Thank you as well, Dave. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks indeed. For Jordan Canzeri, I'm Dave OHara with Hawkeye. Back with more in just a few moments.
To have a strong finish, you need an excellent start. It's true on the track and also in the field. That's why Mershman Seeds works tirelessly to deliver cutting-edge technology year after year. Introducing Starting Line, Mershman Seeds' latest advancement in seed treatment, now providing added protection from white mold and sudden death syndrome all season. Ask for Starting Line seed treatment from Mershman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Automotive Family. We're living through some of the most interesting and challenging times many of us have ever seen. Knowing who you can rely on is more important than ever. Many of us turn to our families to get us through, and the same holds true here. From our fair, upfront pricing to exceptional service after the sale, we truly want to exceed your expectations. So give us a call or stop by and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Make next harvest your best harvest with Mershman Seeds. First, our connection to MS Technologies makes us an industry leader for Enlist E3 soybean genetics. Second, Starting Line seed treatment, our most advanced seed treatment, comes standard with added protection against both sudden death syndrome and white mold. Third, upgrade with Saltro and Trunemco for maximum protection against sudden death syndrome and soybean cyst nematodes. There's only one leader in soybean technology, Mershman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave OHara. There's our buddy, David Eickholt. David,
good to see you.
Seeing you, man. You too.
Sure.
Hawkeye Insider. You see all his information at the bottom of the screen, David. Normally I say let's get right to it. I hate to do that to you after a 27-14 loss to Michigan and getting ready for a very tough now Illinois team. Boy, that game has become something as the weeks have gone on. But let's start. Boy, I never want to be a Badger, and I don't want to be a Wisconsin Badger this week. My goodness, Paul Chryst, I thought maybe at some point at the end of the season, 2-3, all he's done. What have you done for me lately? Apparently not enough at Wisconsin. Paul Chryst out in the middle of the season, David.
Very surprising. But, I mean, you got to look at the way modern college football is right now, Dave. You look at what happened with Nebraska. I think we both agree that Scott Frost should have been fired last year. Paul Chryst obviously has had a great tenure at Wisconsin. He just has. And I think over the last couple of seasons, they've sort of downgraded. They aren't recruiting as well. And on top of that, Dave, Jim Leonhard, it was very obvious that they wanted him to be the next coach. I think when you talk about the wording of it, long-term future, we know that Jim Leonhard has been trying to be hired away. I wish he was coaching for my Green Bay Packers defense right now. I know they wanted him.
Well, he's got the great NFL experience as a player and a coach.
It's win now with the divisions going away as well, with USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten. It's not going to get any easier. But this is where I would caution Wisconsin. I think it's the best Power 5 job available right now. But there's another coach that had an exact opposite demeanor but similar winning percentage as Paul Chryst, and Bo Pelini. And we have seen what happened with the Nebraska program. This next hire, Leonhard or not, is going to be incredibly critical for the future of Wisconsin football.
And I want to talk over you, so I held up there. But yes, his NFL experience, to your point with your Packers, he played for the Jets, was a good college player, very good college player. I think he's been on a lot of people's top lists. I think Wisconsin thought if we don't jump now at the end of the season, we may lose him. Georgia Tech has an opening. Nebraska has the opening. A lot of Power 5 conference schools going to be opening up. There were 18 jobs available at the end of last season. The time is now. So, David, we talk about Wisconsin, and I go Wisconsin past. with Brett Bielema, former head coach there, left to go to Arkansas, former player at University of Iowa, defensive lineman. I knew of him when I was in Kansas City at Fox Sports Radio, and he was an assistant coach at K-State. He's got a great coaching resume. The turnaround he's done at Illinois. But, David, what I want to highlight is Lenny Jr., Barry Lenny Jr. at UTSA, Texas San Antonio, kicked Illinois' tail pretty good a year and a half ago. And what Bielema did was bring him in and hired him as his offensive coordinator. Bielema, being a defensive guy, said, I'm going to take defense. This is all you. You get a transfer in Tommy DeVito at quarterback from Syracuse. You got Chase Brown as one of the best backs in the country now. Then it's a very formidable offense. And then we see what Ryan Walters has done as defensive coordinator at Illinois.
Yeah.
Fill us in, please.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how much longer Ryan Walters is there, because if you hold Wisconsin football to 2 yards rushing with Braylon Allen, who I think is a top 5 back in the country, what a job they've done. And you talk about Brett Bielema. Yes, he struggled during his Arkansas tenure, but you look at his, like you said, he's a defensive coach. He's been around the Big Ten. He's built for Big Ten football. Yeah. And I think that's something, you see that physicality. You see them, it's ground and pound. You have a capable quarterback. There's more stabilization at quarterback, which has been very key in that. And they're recruiting better. And I think Bielema, right when he came in, he said, I'm going to recruit in the state of Illinois, because I think that was Lovie Smith's downfall. He could not keep the talent at home. And look what he's doing now at Illinois. He's bringing the transfers. He's adapting to modern-day college football. Dave, they might be the best team in the Big Ten West, and you cannot imagine saying that at the beginning of this season.
I agree with you. When I saw they lost that first, or early in the season, they barely beat Nebraska, and then they lose to Indiana, and you're thinking, okay, Bielema's doing. He's a Quad City area kid on the Illinois side, so he has those roots, as you mentioned. If he can keep kids in state, we know what a wealth of talent Illinois has. So, give us your thoughts then, going in the last minute and a half here, David, of Iowa moving forward. Okay, we all know about the offense. We talked to Jordan Canzeri right before you about this, and I'm not putting you on the hook for this. But some thoughts, anything come out of presser today? Of course, we record this every Tuesday afternoon, today being October 4th, Tuesday. Anything come out of the press availability today from the players, David, this morning, and Kirk Ferentz this afternoon?
I think they just said, the most important game is the next one. But, Dave, from my standpoint, this is the must-win of the season. This is the season right now, because then you're heading into a bye week. You don't want another loss to sort of fester into that bye week, because guess what? You have the mighty Buckeyes of Ohio State coming out of that bye week. And
going to Columbus.
Yes, and Ohio State has a bye week as well, so they get 2 weeks prepared for Iowa. And Ohio State's wide receiver room, Dave, is the most talented wide receiver room in the history of college football. I mean, it is unbelievable.
And that's after losing Chris Olave. You believe that?
It's unbelievable. And Garrett Wilson as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And they still have him. So it is nuts, Dave, but Iowa's defense has to show up. They got off to a very slow start against Michigan. Iowa has to give Caleb Johnson the ball. And I think there are far deeper issues than Spencer Petras. And I think because people aren't paying attention to the running game, to the offensive line struggles, every mistake that Spencer Petras makes, they hyper-focused on. He was great last week, but had 2 overthrows that really cost Iowa a drive. Rest of the game, he was efficient. And I think people need to give props where it's due.
Well, and the concern, David, is the defensive line, or the defense, got moved around early in that game against Michigan. They held it down after that. Offensive line woes seem to be getting a little better, so there is some positivity upcoming potentially.
We'll see. I mean, like Kirk Ferentz and the players said at the end of last week's presser and today, they're growing. They got to grow faster if they want to salvage this season.
That's very well stated right now. And again, 6:30 Saturday night, Big Ten Network kick at Champaign-Urbana against University of Illinois. Hawks right now at 3-2, hopefully only trajecting upwards. It should be a tough game, David. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Good seeing you, my friend. He's David Eickholt, Hawkeye Insider. I'm Dave OHara with Hawkeye, the TV show. Thanks again to Craig and Stacy Schroeder with Fight with Flash Foundation, and former Hawkeye running back great Jordan Canzeri. Also, thanks to Mike and Max behind the camera, as always, and to you, the viewers, for tuning in. So for Hawkeye, that's all from me. Thanks to all of you. And as always, thanks for staying tuned at the end of the program for these rolling credits to give our advertisers and sponsors the attention and credit they so richly deserve. And as always, to our aforementioned guests and to you, the viewers. That's all from us at Hawkeye. Thanks to all of you.